Hi, my name is Anthony Polvinale and I'm with Smail Motor Cars. I'm here today to take you on a ride in the all-new Mercedes-Benz 2017 C-Class Coupe. Alright, and we're off in the 2017 C-Class Coupe. A couple of things that you'll notice right off the bat is going to be the floating screen. This was a new design that Mercedes introduced on the 2015 C-Class sedan, and they've been carrying it over. The new GLC SUV has the same floating screen. A lot of the larger sedans, coupes, SUVs are starting to go to this style of design. It was something too that they wanted to make sure that they incorporated in the new C Coupe, as it wasn't on the previous generation. And in addition to the floating screen, also to this right here, this is what's called the waterfall console. It's meant to be a very sleek, streamlined design. You have everything from your ventilation, being able to control your airflow, your climate control, which is dual zone, as well as obviously having the physical buttons to operate everything from your navigation, your radio, your telephone, vehicle settings, etc., all right here from the screen. Really helps with having this screen up high like this, that you have that nice kind of vivid display and you're able to really get a nice view of everything that's around you. And also too, by putting it up high like this, they were able to give you the maximum field of view for the screen without you having to take your eyes off the road. It's a very, very simple glance down from where the road is to being able to see the screen. The car accelerates a lot better now than it used to in the previous generation. The old generation of this vehicle had a naturally aspirated V6. Whenever they redesigned the car, they wanted to give it the turbocharged four-cylinder engine that they've been working into a lot of the vehicles now. With that turbocharged engine, what's great is you not only have the 241 horsepower, but you have 273 foot-pound of torque. Really gives you a lot of nice pickup whenever you put your foot down. These cars also come standard with adaptive braking. Something kind of cool is whenever you go to press your brakes in a Mercedes-Benz vehicle, the adaptive braking can actually sense if you're either applying too much or not enough brake force for what you need to do to stop. It's especially useful if you got a vehicle in front of you. So if you have either any kind of an object or a vehicle, it'll sense how much brake force is actually needed. So if you find yourself in a situation where, maybe you're kind of touching the brake, but you're not giving it quite enough, the adaptive braking will kick in and it can turn 50% of brake force into 100% pretty quick, but it still feels smooth, it still feels natural. Not only being interested in having the greatest comfort, Mercedes vehicles also are very, very focused on making sure that the driver has full command and full control of the car. They really put a central focus on making sure that the driver at all times, in addition to feeling comfortable, feels like they really have best possible position and best possible control of the steering wheel, best possible control of everything from your door adjustments, your window adjustments, your seat adjustments, things like that, all right over here on the door. Obviously too, with the central controller being able to adjust everything from your radio stations and your navigation, etc. They really just want to give you that ideal position as well for not having any kind of like blind spots or anything in the rear, and any possible blind spot you would have off of the sides. Blind spot assist you're going to find on just about every C-Class Coupe. Whenever a vehicle is in my blind spot, the little icon on the mirror will glow red. Now, in addition to that, the next vehicle pulling up to my left is actually going to get in my blind spot. I'll show you one other thing that it does. So they're in my blind spot right now, I know they are, but if I put my left signal on right now, you'll notice the flashing of the light as well as the beeping noise that you heard right there. That's sort of Mercedes' way to warn you if somebody does get in your blind spot, that you have to be a little bit cautious, because based on their proximity, there's a chance if you were to change lanes right there that you would strike the other vehicle. Another great option that this particular vehicle was equipped with, not all C-Class Coupes will have, but this one does, is the new heads-up display. The heads-up display can show you everything from your direction of travel for your navigation. Also too, it'll show you things like, left turn 100 feet, stuff like that. It'll even give you the speedometer readout, tell you which road you're currently traveling on or which road you're about to turn onto. Really makes it nice so that you kind of have an idea of a lot of your important controls without even having to divert your eyes from the center of the windshield. In addition to the command console being a nice, bright, vivid screen right in your field of view, it's also very, very simple to operate. You have both a touchpad and a centralized wheel on this controller. At any time you can press either star button, which takes you to your favorites list, sort of like your home menu. If you press the star button, you'll notice all your primary options come right up on the screen. It makes it very easy to either swipe or just kind of scroll your finger across all these different options. If you prefer, you can also use the wheel below the touchpad to operate all the different options. It makes it real simple to change between things like navigation and radio on the fly. The car even gives you the ability that, let's say you're in navigation and you want to change the radio station without going back a page, they even give you a button for it. You can actually go in, adjust your radio station without even ever having to leave your navigation. It's pretty cool stuff. Standard on every Mercedes-Benz C-Class Coupe, and moving forward, going to be standard on every Mercedes-Benz vehicle, is Dynamic Select. Dynamic Select actually gives you the ability to change the driving dynamics of the car on the fly. So far, we've been driving this car in sort of its standard default setting, which is called Comfort. But at the flip of a switch, I have the ability to adjust the setting between 5 different driving modes. There's Economy, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Individual, with Individual being a customizable setting. This particular vehicle, in addition to being able to adjust the engine shift points and the feel of the steering, also is equipped with Airmatic air suspension, which means on the fly, if I switch this Dynamic Select switch, I'm not only going to adjust the feeling of my steer, the feeling of the engine shifting, but also the actual suspension of the vehicle. This car drives a lot different if you put it in the sport modes. The Mercedes C-Class Coupe is great at about hugging these tight corners, whether you're in comfort or sport. It's really, really nice how you can go around a corner even with some speed and still be able to hug the entire apex and not have to worry about losing any traction or any kind of slide. And you'll notice that too, even on some of our bigger models. If you ever get bored of driving it in comfort mode, at the flip of a switch you can kick it into the sport modes that I showed you. Or if you ever are in the sport mode but want a little bit more of a comfort feel, a little bit of a quieter ride, kick it down into comfort and you'll notice how much quieter the cabin is, how much quieter the engine sounds. Vehicles have a system called NVH, which cuts down on the noise, the vibration, and the harshness from outside, which kind of allows for an extremely quiet cabin. It sort of is meant to cut down on any kind of road noise you could possibly expect, in addition to any kind of mechanical noise, from the gear selecting or the engine, things like that. Depending on which model C-Coupe you decide on, you'll notice we also have 2 different steering wheels. This here is our sport steering wheel. Given it has the flat bottom, a little bit of a different design in terms of the wheel looks like it's kind of shifted a little bit downward here in the center. It gives you the ideal sort of positioning for your hand, whether you reach over the top of the steering wheel, side to side with the grips kind of down to the bottom here, or even if you're making a sharp turn, having this flat bottom makes it very easy to just grip this bottom and make a sharp turn rather easily. Models not equipped with the Sport package will still have all the same steering wheel controls that you see, including the paddle shifters, the buttons to operate things like the Bluetooth, as well as your central controller here, your screen right in between both of the gauges. However, they obviously won't have the flat bottom. It'll just be kind of a rounded piece here with the grips a little bit higher on the steering wheel, kind of meant more for your average driver. A couple of other assistance features that this vehicle is equipped with standard are things like attention assist. Attention assist is the ability that this car has to actually tell you what your attentiveness level is while you're driving. The goal here is if you ever get drowsy behind the wheel or feel a little bit tired, the series of algorithms that are being programmed at all times are actually able to tell if you're drowsy because of things like veering off the road, making small steering mistakes and slowly noticing that. Even things like how long it's been since you last adjusted a control, since you last messed with the navigation, changed the radio station, things like that. What's pretty cool about the system is, since there's so many different components, there's about 70 different types of parameters that are being judged at all times. And what's kind of cool about that is it's a little bit more advanced than any other system out there on the market to judge something of that nature, because even if it senses that there's, an issue with steering input or an issue with being behind the wheel a long time, it's going to go through every one of those parameters until it's 100% sure that the reason for the mistakes, the reason for the steering errors, things like that is because you're actually drowsy. As soon as it realizes that you are, it'll show a little coffee cup display there in the center of the instrument gauge, and will actually tell you it's time to take a break. Car also comes standard with collision prevention assist. Hopefully on our drive you're not going to have to see how that works. But if I were to approach a vehicle too quickly, or a vehicle were to sort of jump in front of me too rapidly and I'm not slowing down fast enough, the vehicle is actually going to show a little triangle icon here on the center of the instrument gauge, and it's going to let me know that I'm approaching a little bit too fast. If I either am not able to react quick enough, or if I'm just not slowing at quite enough of a rate, things like the adaptive braking, which can apply additional brake force, are going to become active. And the Collision Prevention Assist Plus system actually has the ability to bring the vehicle to a complete stop. This vehicle finds itself in a class with competitive vehicles which primarily all use 6-cylinder engines. Might make you a little worried when you hear it as a 4-cylinder engine. But because of the turbocharger, because of the amount of torque, and because of the transmission, this vehicle has the capability to not only go faster 0 to 60, but is also faster at passing speeds. Most of us will never find ourselves using all the horsepower the vehicle has to offer, but even on a daily commute, you'll find yourself using all the torque that the vehicle has to offer. And with torque that kicks in at such a low RPM, makes the vehicle always feel a lot faster. You'll find it's more than enough power for highway driving, and if for some reason it's not enough power for you, here pretty soon, later this year, Mercedes-Benz, in addition to the C300 Coupe, is going to be introducing the C43, which is going to be a bi-turbo V6 AMG, as well as the C63, which will be a bi-turbo V8. The C-Class Coupe gives you the perfect combination of both the elegance of the interior, the sporty styling of the exterior. This model even gave you the diamond block grille on the exterior. You'll even notice features like the Burmester speaker system, the surround sound system all throughout it. It's amazing how many of these options that you'll find actually on almost every single Mercedes C-Class Coupe that you find. And that's the 2017 C-Class Coupe. For more information, visit us on the web at smailmercedesbenz.com.